Let us begin with a truth too often forgotten in our modern age of self-made slogans and lone wolf ambition. No one achieves greatness alone. Every man who has reached the summit of success, every inventor, every entrepreneur, every leader has stood upon the shoulders of others, and not by accident, but by intention. They understood a principle I call the mastermind. It is one of the most powerful forces ever discovered, yet it remains invisible to the untrained mind. The mastermind is not a theory. It is not a motivational idea. It is a universal law, just as real as gravity or electricity. Here's how it works. When two or more individuals come together in the spirit of harmony, with a shared purpose, a shared direction, and a shared belief, they create something greater than the sum of their parts. They create a third mind, an invisible force, a collective intelligence that neither could have accessed alone. I do not exaggerate when I say the mastermind is the key to unlocking genius, accelerating progress, and sustaining long-term wealth. Let me be blunt. If you are attempting to succeed by yourself, to think alone, act alone, build alone, you are placing a limit on what life can do through you. Yes, you may move faster alone, but you will never move as far, because your mind, no matter how brilliant, has limits. Your perspective is biased. Your energy is finite. But when aligned with another mind, equally focused, equally committed, those limits begin to dissolve. Ideas sharpen. Faith multiplies. Clarity increases. Courage expands. You borrow each other's belief when doubt creeps in. You accelerate each other's thinking. You keep each other accountable to the higher standard. This is not simply friendship. This is not occasional encouragement. This is organized collaboration, built upon mutual trust, shared purpose, and disciplined intention. And let me be clear, this is not a relationship of comfort. It is a relationship of elevation. The true mastermind does not let you stay small. It does not tolerate your excuses. It does not agree with your fears. It demands that you rise, because it sees who you're becoming, even when you don't. Think back to every extraordinary achievement in history, and you will find behind it a mastermind alliance. Henry Ford had Thomas Edison. Carnegie had a council of minds. The founding fathers of America met in mastermind circles. Even the world's greatest companies today are built by teams, not by solo performers. So the question is not whether the mastermind works. It does. The question is, have you built yours? Have you identified people who believe in your vision, who share your values, who stretch your thinking instead of feeding your limitations? Or are you still trying to do it all alone, while silently hoping for breakthroughs that never come? Here is the truth. You may have a definite purpose. You may have discipline. You may have belief. But without a mastermind, you will burn out. You will plateau. You will miss opportunities you were never meant to carry alone. And so, I tell you this at the very beginning of our lesson. If you are serious about building something great, you must build it with others, not just any others. Not those who agree with your past, but those who call forth your future. This is the beginning of Mastermind, and in the next parts, we will build it together. Now that we've uncovered the power of the mastermind, you may be asking, where do I begin? How do I find those with whom I can build this alliance? And I tell you, you don't find them by accident. You select them by design. The mastermind is not a crowd. It is not a club. It is not a group of convenience. It is a sacred inner circle, and it must be formed with the utmost care. Let me be clear. You must choose people not based on where they are, but on where they are going. The man who is content with average will never help you reach greatness. The one who constantly complains will never inspire your conviction. You must surround yourself with individuals who are growing, who are thinking, who are building, and above all, who are committed to becoming more. And not just in ambition, but in character. Because the mastermind does not work without harmony. That is the secret ingredient, the one most overlooked. You may have brilliant people, You may have shared interests, but if there is ego, conflict, manipulation, or lack of mutual respect, there is no mastermind, only noise. Harmony is the spiritual glue that binds minds together and allows the invisible intelligence to form. So do not seek agreement. Seek alignment. You don't need people who always think like you. You need people who challenge your ideas, but from a place of unity, not competition. That's the difference between friction and frictionless growth. In a true mastermind alliance, the success of one uplifts all. There is no jealousy. There is no rivalry. There is only mutual benefit and mutual elevation. Now, how do you begin to build it? You begin by first becoming the kind of person worthy of that alliance. You must be clear in your own purpose. You must operate with integrity. You must show discipline and consistency. You must bring value, because no one of power will link arms with someone who lacks self-leadership. So your first mastermind relationship must be with yourself. Are you showing up for your own vision? Are you honoring your word? Are you committed to growth publicly and privately? This is the first test. Then begin seeking out those who match that frequency. Sometimes they're already in your life, but you haven't activated the relationship. You've talked about small things when you could have built something great together. Other times, you must go beyond your current circle. Attend events, join communities, ask questions, make invitations. But don't chase popularity. Chase alignment. One aligned ally is more powerful than 1,000 passive spectators. And once you find them, be intentional. Meet regularly. Share goals. Exchange ideas. Hold each other accountable. And most of all, protect the harmony at all costs. Because the moment conflict arises, without resolution, the mastermind dissolves. You are not building friendship. You are building a spiritual engine that powers purpose, multiplies belief, and unlocks results beyond logic. So start now. Ask yourself, who in my life strengthens my thinking? Who challenges me without tearing me down? Who believes not only in my potential, but in their own? That's who you invite. That's who you build with. That's how you create a mastermind. And once it begins, you will never again attempt to rise alone. Now let's talk about what the mastermind truly gives you, not in theory, but in real, measurable terms. You may ask, if I already have my goal, my belief, and my discipline, why do I need anyone else? Because there are things your own mind cannot access until it is linked with another in harmony. The mastermind multiplies your mind, not just adds to it. Let me explain what I mean. When two minds connect in unity, you create what I call a third mind. It is invisible. It cannot be touched, but its effects are undeniable. This third mind becomes a source of inspiration, an ongoing flow of new ideas, fresh perspectives, and intelligent feedback that no individual could produce alone. Have you ever noticed how, in the right conversation, solutions appear that didn't exist just moments before? That is not coincidence. That is the mastermind at work. And this goes far beyond brainstorming. Because the mastermind doesn't just enhance creativity, it strengthens faith. There will be moments on your path when fear comes knocking, when your old patterns try to pull you back, when the results don't show up fast enough. But when you are linked with someone who shares your values and sees your potential, their belief in you can carry you until your own belief returns. This is not weakness. This is wisdom, because no great man ever became great without someone who reminded him who he was in the moments he forgot. I'll say it again. When your faith is low, the mastermind gives you access to borrowed belief, and that alone is worth everything. But it doesn't stop there. The mastermind also provides what I call constructive accountability. You're no longer just responsible to yourself. You're responsible to the group, to the mission, to the standard you've agreed to uphold. That kind of structure eliminates the luxury of excuse. You can't hide in laziness. You can't rationalize quitting. You're seen. You're challenged. You're lifted. You are operating in an environment where progress is expected, not optional. And then there's momentum. You see, one man in motion can be powerful, but a small group of individuals moving in the same direction creates a wave of energy that can't be stopped. Their success inspires yours. Your actions push them forward, and together you create a rhythm that carries all of you further than you could ever go alone. Now understand this. This effect is not magical. It is mechanical. It is built through structure, repetition, and alignment. When minds meet regularly, with intention and harmony, this momentum becomes predictable. So let's summarize. The mastermind gives you ideas you didn't have, faith you couldn't always maintain, discipline you couldn't sustain alone, momentum that accelerates everyone involved. And all of this is only possible because of one key factor: alignment. This is why you must choose your circle wisely, protect it fiercely, and honor it deeply. Because the moment you link minds with others in harmony, you are no longer limited to your own capacity. You tap into the infinite. You access something larger. You step into the current of creation itself. That is the real power of the mastermind. If the mastermind is so powerful, why do so few people ever build one? Why do most men and women, even with big goals, still choose to walk the path of success alone? It is not because they don't need support. It is not because they don't desire collaboration. It is because of something far more subtle and far more dangerous: pride, fear, and mistrust. Let me explain. Many people confuse independence with isolation. They believe that asking for support is a sign of weakness, that needing feedback means they aren't strong enough, that walking with others somehow diminishes their achievement. But I tell you plainly, there is no honor in struggling alone. There is no prize for suffering in silence. True strength lies in strategic alliance. It lies in knowing that two focused minds are more powerful than one. Still, many hesitate to form a mastermind. Why? Because to do so requires vulnerability. It requires you to share your goals, your struggles, your blind spots. And that makes the ego uncomfortable. The ego says, I don't want others to see. I don't have all the answers. I don't want to be challenged. I don't want to feel behind. And so people surround themselves with silence, with passive friends, with agreeable voices, with easy conversations. But growth doesn't live there. Growth lives in challenge, in feedback, in alignment with others, who expect more from you than you do from yourself. The other barrier is mistrust. Some people have been betrayed. They've been judged. They've been hurt by false friends or selfish partnerships. So they protect themselves by keeping everyone at a distance. I understand that pain. But let me ask you this. Is the wound of the past worth sacrificing the breakthroughs of the future? Because the mastermind you need is not made up of opportunists or takers. It is made of builders. You must look again. And this time look for alignment, not history. Let go of your need to be the smartest in the room. Let go of the story that says you must do it all yourself. Let go of the lie that says trust is weakness. Trust is not weakness. Trust is leverage. And you can't create leverage if your circle is made of strangers, skeptics, and spectators. You must choose differently. Now let's get practical. If you've hesitated to build your mastermind, here's how to begin. Define what you're looking for. Are you seeking clarity, accountability, spiritual alignment, business support? Know the purpose of your circle. List people who inspire, stretch, or challenge you. Not necessarily your closest friends, but those whose energy and standards align with your direction. Reach out with intention. Don't be vague. Say, I value your mindset. I believe we're aligned. I'd like to build something together. Set the rhythm. Weekly calls, shared goals, structured growth. Not just catching up, building up. Protect the atmosphere. No ego, no competition. Only clarity, elevation, and forward movement. And yes, it may feel awkward at first, It may feel strange to lead such a thing, but soon you'll see the difference it makes. Your ideas will sharpen, your faith will grow, your execution will multiply, and most of all, you will no longer feel alone in your mission. You'll look around and see men and women who walk with you step for step toward a future none of you could have built alone. This is what most never discover. This is why they stay stuck despite their potential. But now you know better. You must build differently if you want to live differently. Now, let us talk about something vital. Structure. A mastermind, no matter how inspired, cannot function on inspiration alone. If it is casual, it will collapse. If it is vague, it will weaken. If it is irregular, it will dissolve into good intentions. Power requires a framework. So today, I will show you how to build a mastermind alliance that lasts, one that multiplies your momentum week after week, month after month, until your very identity begins to transform. Let's begin with rhythm. You must meet consistently, not occasionally, not when convenient. Weekly is best bi-weekly at minimum. Why? Because purpose needs rhythm and growth needs reinforcement. Each meeting is not just a check-in. It is a recalibration. You remind each other of the vision. You realign with the goal. You reset what drifted. These meetings should be sacred, protected from distractions, honored as appointments with your future. Now, what do you do in these meetings? You bring structure to the table. Start with wins. Each person shares what has progressed since the last meeting. This builds momentum and confidence. Review obstacles. Where are you stuck? Where do you need input or challenge? Share ideas and strategies. The collective mind sees what the individual cannot. This is the birthplace of breakthrough. Declare your next steps. Be specific. Not, I'll try to work on this, but by next week I will complete X. Close with affirmations or vision casting. Reconnect with the purpose that brought you together. This cycle, repeated weekly, creates alignment, action, and acceleration. Now let me address something important. Confidentiality is non-negotiable. Without trust, there is no mastermind. Without safety, truth remains hidden. And if truth is hidden, transformation cannot happen. You must protect what is shared. You must honor what is spoken. You must defend the space from gossip, distraction, and ego. Remember, this is not a friendship circle. This is a construction site for the soul. What's being built here is not casual. It is generational. You are not just growing income. You are growing identity. You are rewriting patterns. You are building a new normal. Now, what about size? A true mastermind can function with as few as 2, but ideally aim for 3 to 5. Enough for diversity. Small enough for depth. Beyond that, it risks becoming a seminar, not a circle. Each member must be heard. Each voice must matter. Each goal must be tracked. And let me remind you, not all members need to be in the same industry. What matters is mindset. In fact, different fields can bring fresh insights. A creative may offer a solution a business person would never think of. A strategist may unlock clarity for someone stuck in emotion. It's not uniformity, it's unity. Lastly, I urge you to rotate leadership. Let each person take turns hosting or guiding the agenda. This strengthens ownership, removes hierarchy, and increases engagement. Because the mastermind is not a top-down relationship, it is a circle, a mutual exchange of energy, clarity, and strength. With this structure in place, your mastermind becomes more than meetings. It becomes movement. It becomes accountability with soul, strategy with fire, clarity with conviction, and most importantly, it becomes the invisible force that shapes your visible results. Let us now explore one of the greatest gifts the mastermind provides, one that far surpasses surface-level support or productivity gains. The mastermind expands your thinking. You may believe you know what you want. You may feel confident in your strategy. You may think your perspective is complete. But the moment you expose your mind to the focused minds of others, you begin to realize You were living inside the limitations of your own experience. And this is where real growth begins. When aligned minds converge with shared intention, you begin to think bigger, see further, and imagine deeper. Ideas emerge that you never knew existed. Solutions present themselves without effort. Old beliefs are challenged gently but powerfully. Why? Because the mastermind is not just about cooperation, it is about amplification. Your mind, when left alone, can loop on the same tracks for years. You tell yourself the same story. You reinforce the same ceiling. You revisit the same justifications. But when you're part of a mastermind, those mental walls get exposed. Someone else hears your limitation and says, "Why not go further?" Someone else sees a shortcut you missed. Someone else gives language to the thing you couldn't quite express. And suddenly, your whole paradigm shifts. It doesn't take force. It takes alignment. One idea from the right person at the right time can change the entire trajectory of your life. You don't need more effort. You need a new lens, and the mastermind provides it. Now let me speak to the invisible transformation. The longer you remain in the company of focused, purpose-driven minds, the more your own standards begin to elevate without resistance. You no longer tolerate delay. You no longer defend your excuses. You no longer operate from survival thinking. You begin to speak differently. You begin to move with clarity. You begin to adopt the energy of vision and execution. This is called entrainment, the subconscious synchronization of energy and belief. You become like those you consistently think with, not just in words, but in identity. This is why your mastermind must be carefully chosen, because whoever you bond your mind to, you begin to mirror. So if their mindset is reactive, yours will be too. If their mindset is abundant, so will yours become. Now understand this happens even if you don't realize it. Your subconscious is always watching, always listening. It is absorbing the standards around you and reconfiguring your sense of what is normal. That's why most people never rise above mediocrity, because they are surrounded by people who call mediocrity wisdom. But you have the chance to rise, not by shouting louder, but by linking deeper, by choosing to surround your mind with voices of vision, discipline, and courage. This mental environment becomes the furnace where your next level is forged. And soon, without trying, you start asking better questions. You start expecting more of yourself. You start creating where you once hesitated. You start moving as someone who knows, "I'm not alone in this. I carry the wisdom of many. I think not with one mind, but with many in harmony." That is true mental wealth. And from that space, you will build things the old version of you couldn't even comprehend. Let us now speak of speed. Because in this journey toward wealth, purpose, and impact, time is not just passing, it is either working for you or against you. And I tell you today with full conviction, the mastermind is the single greatest accelerator of achievement I have ever discovered. Why? Because when multiple minds unite under one definite aim, they begin to collapse time. They compress decades into months, months into weeks, and what once seemed distant becomes suddenly and undeniably attainable. You see, the average man learns through trial and error. He fails, stumbles, reflects, adjusts alone. It is slow, painful, often discouraging. But the man who aligns with a mastermind borrows leverage. He learns from others' experience, not just his own. He sidesteps unnecessary mistakes because someone beside him has already walked that road. He doesn't waste energy wondering. He asks, receives, and acts. This is the power of compounded wisdom. One person brings vision, another brings strategy, another brings execution. Together, they build in weeks what one man could not finish in years. And more than that, they sustain the momentum. Because one of the greatest enemies of progress is fatigue. And fatigue doesn't come just from work. It comes from working alone. But when you meet with others who are equally committed, you absorb their fire. You draw from their certainty. You tap into their discipline just when yours starts to fade. This is not motivation. It is momentum transfer. A mastermind is like a fire circle. If your flame dims, the others keep it alive until you can feed it again. That's how people keep going. Not because they never struggle, but because they never struggle in isolation. Now think of this. When you move alone, you are the only one who notices when you slow down. But in a mastermind, your pace is visible. And this is a gift, because now your standard is no longer private. It is shared. You begin to rise not just for yourself, but for the collective. You uphold the standard because the standard upholds you. This kind of environment pulls your purpose forward. It doesn't just support your goals. It sharpens them. It filters out distraction. It removes ambiguity. It forces clarity. Because every week you are asked, what did you build? What will you do next? Where are you out of alignment? And those three questions, asked with love, but without compromise, will move your life faster than 1,000 hours of reading or planning alone. Let me repeat. The mastermind is not a luxury. It is an advantage, a lever, a force multiplier. It doesn't just add to your success, it explodes it. But only if you treat it as sacred, only if you show up prepared, only if you give as much as you receive, only if you lean in fully and hold nothing back. Because the mastermind will only give you what you are willing to bring into it. So bring your best, bring your honesty, bring your goals written clear and charged with intent. And then watch what happens. Watch how fast the fog clears. Watch how focused you become. Watch how quickly results begin to manifest in every area of your life. Not because magic is real, but because alignment is rare. And aligned energy, when shared, becomes unstoppable. Let me speak to those of you who are already building a mastermind. You've felt its power. You've seen the early sparks. You've watched how energy rises when minds align. But now comes the real challenge, sustaining it. You see, starting a mastermind is easy. Maintaining it, growing, iterating it over time. That's where most fail, because life happens. Schedules get tight. Momentum slips. And what once felt unstoppable can become another forgotten good idea. But not for you. Not if you understand the three principles of preservation. 1. Refresh the vision. Every mastermind must periodically return to the reason it was formed. Why are we here? What are we building? What is our shared purpose? Because as life changes, so do goals. If your vision isn't updated, the meetings become mechanical. Make space every few months to realign, to ask bigger questions, to revisit the dream that brought you together and expand it. This keeps the fire burning. 2. Rotate and reinforce roles. If the same person always leads, if energy always flows from the same place, stagnation sets in. Keep it dynamic. Let each member take turns leading a session, setting the theme, sharing a new insight. When ownership is shared, so is passion. And passion is the fuel that keeps the mastermind from becoming routine. Also, recognize when a new voice is needed or when a stale energy must be released. This is not about being harsh. It's about being honest. A healthy mastermind evolves. It doesn't just survive. 3. Celebrate and document growth. Too often, people move on to the next goal without honoring the progress they've made. But progress must be seen, felt, measured, celebrated. Keep a record of what has happened since the mastermind began. Wins, breakthroughs, transformations in identity and behavior. Review them together. Let the group see its own power. Nothing reinforces a commitment like seeing proof that it works. Now let me say something you may not expect. Your mastermind should challenge you to outgrow it. Yes, a truly successful alliance does not create dependency. It creates expansion. There may come a time when your growth leads you to form a new circle, or to start a second one with others who are ready for the next level. This is not betrayal. This is evolution. You can honor what was built while also answering the call to build more. But never, never let comfort make your mastermind lazy. The moment you begin to show up out of habit rather than hunger, the alliance weakens. Protect the culture, protect the intention, protect the energy. This is not just a meeting on your calendar. This is your engine, your recalibration point, your alignment chamber. Treat it that way. And above all, be the kind of person who brings more to the circle than you take. Give ideas, give attention, give encouragement, give accountability. Because the one who gives the most grows the fastest. And over time, as your mastermind strengthens, you'll look back and realize this wasn't just a group. This was the catalyst for everything. We've spoken of structure. We've spoken of rhythm. We've spoken of ideas and momentum. But now, let me speak of something deeper, something few ever access, even within a mastermind, the emergence of higher intelligence. You see, when a true mastermind is formed, not just a group, but a harmonized alliance of purpose-driven minds, something strange and powerful begins to happen. A third mind is born. It has no face. It has no voice. Yet it speaks. It reveals. It knows. It is as if you've tapped into a source of intelligence that exists beyond the individuals present. And I tell you with full belief, this intelligence is real. I have witnessed it too many times to doubt it. I have seen men receive answers to problems they had battled alone for years, and in one session of aligned discussion, the answer simply appeared. I have seen entire business models pivoted in an instant, not by debate, but by shared intuition. I have seen men walk into a meeting with confusion and walk out with a clear, unshakable next step, not because someone else told them, but because the mastermind revealed it. You may call this collective consciousness. You may call it spiritual intelligence. You may call it the subconscious in collaboration. Call it what you will, but do not dismiss its power. When minds link in trust, alignment, and faith, they form a bridge to ideas and solutions that are often beyond ordinary thinking. Now, understand, this cannot be forced. It emerges only when the following conditions are met. True harmony exists, not surface-level politeness, but deep mutual respect and shared intention. Ego is set aside. No one is posturing. No one is performing. Each is open to learning and contributing. Purpose is clear. The group knows why it exists, and each person has declared a direction. Time has been invested. This kind of depth does not happen in a single meeting. It is born of repetition, consistency, trust. When these ingredients combine, the mastermind becomes something far greater than just support or feedback. It becomes a transmitter and receiver of insight. You begin to feel it. Ideas come faster. Words carry more weight. Pauses feel electric. There is a presence in the space, something more than the sum of the parts. This is not fiction. It is the higher faculty of human potential. And here's the great secret. The more you operate from this level, the more you awaken your own intuition. Your subconscious begins to move quicker. You trust your instincts more. You notice patterns others miss. You move with decisiveness, clarity, and inner alignment. Because when you've spent enough time in the company of minds tuned to wisdom, you begin to hear that wisdom on your own. You carry it with you. It becomes part of you. The mastermind doesn't just give you answers. It trains you to hear them even in silence. Now tell me, how much is that worth? To move through life with access to a well of clarity, strategic insight, and spiritual resonance that most men will never tap into? This is the quiet gift of the mastermind. Not just success, not just strategy, but connection to something deeper. Call it divine guidance. Call it universal intelligence. Call it soul-level clarity. Whatever you name it, honor it, guard it, lean into it. Because once you feel that intelligence working through your circle, you'll never again question the value of surrounding yourself with minds that are lit by purpose and aligned in faith. Now we arrive at the summit, not the end, but the point from which you begin to see life differently. By now you understand the mastermind is not just a meeting. It's not a tactic. It's not a tool to use when things are slow. The mastermind is a way of life. It is a way of thinking, deciding, and becoming. It is how you raise your standards permanently. It is how you outgrow mediocrity. It is how you build things you once thought impossible. Because when you walk through life linked with minds that sharpen, stretch, and strengthen yours, you are no longer dependent on your own momentum. You carry the momentum of a movement. Your purpose is no longer fragile. Your discipline no longer fades. Your belief is no longer private. It is shared, reinforced, unshakable. This is how great legacies are built, not by individuals acting alone, but by alliances formed in harmony, guided by purpose, and fueled by mutual elevation. You may wonder, will my mastermind last forever? Maybe, maybe not. But what will last is who you become through it. You'll never again settle for low-energy conversations. You'll never again be satisfied with surface-level goals. You'll never again confuse motion with progress, because your thinking has changed. And once the mind expands, it does not shrink back. So here is what I leave you with. If you have not yet built your mastermind, start today. You don't need the perfect setup. You don't need a dozen people. You need one aligned mind and the courage to begin. And if you already have one, tend to it. Protect its energy. Feed it with truth. Refine it with purpose. Don't let it become routine. Let it become a force. Review your goals. Realign your focus. Recommit to the shared future you've declared. Make your alliance a place of elevation, not just reflection. Make it your spiritual boardroom, a sacred chamber where dreams are shaped, doubt is dissolved, and greatness is the only language spoken. Because the mastermind, at its highest form, is not just about success. It's about awakening your potential through the power of shared faith, collective insight, and strategic alliance. It is the reminder that you are never alone and never meant to be. So walk forward now with a new awareness. Start looking for minds that match your direction. Start choosing depth over noise. Start surrounding yourself with builders, not critics, visionaries, not victims. And then watch what happens. Doors open, ideas flow, results multiply. But more than all that, you rise. You rise into the person you were always meant to become, not by force, but by connection. And that, my friend, is the real wealth.